Hey guys, today I'm going to teach you how to do a matte painting. So matte painting essentially is like a set extension and you can add a lot of cool things, and one of the things you can add is a sky replacement, which is kind of a matte painting also, but also you can also create these very dynamic looking mountains that will not be affected by the branches here, and they actually are, using the sky replacement technique you can get some pretty good results. And because we're using images and do this digitally, we're not actually painting anything, which means that if these branches were windy, or like these trees are windy, that they would actually move and adds to the effect and makes everything look way nicer. So we're going to start on this. First, we need to make a new null object. So null object is where we're going to put our tracking data. I'm going to double click on this, and now we're going to go up to track motion. If you can't find this, go to animation, track motion, or you can go to window and think like track it right down there. So we're going to use rotation. Now you can do this with 3D camera tracking, but to keep this quite simple and also a bit easier for me, I'm just going to do this with the basic 2D tracking. So I'm going to use a tracking point that is quite distance, so we get some good parallax going on, and also rotation, like I said, to keep the parallax, which make everything look more realistic. So what I found was this area here, and it's pretty good. And this tracker might took me a couple attempts actually to get a good track, so you might have to do some hand tracking. And this may mess up, and it's completely messed up there. So this did work for me on some of these branches, but what I'm going to do just to speed this up, I will have a dedicated tutorial to tracking motion, and in my other tutorials I do have some tracking motion. So what I'm going to just delete this and just go into my original comp that I made. I'm just going to just copy this and just add this in. I'm kind of lazy because this is a very long tutorial. This might be one of my longest I've done. So this is the reason why, because I want to get to this technique quick enough. Okay, so now I'm going to make a matte. So a matte is how we're going to make the trees and stuff blend with the mountains and stuff. This is going to be the core part. I'm just going to pick whip this to that. So I'm going to do toggle switch mode, and then we're going to do the track matte. So this is to prep everything up. I'm going to go to effect, color, correction. Now, for the future of this tutorial, I'm going to eye switch this up. For the future of this tutorial, I will use the effects console from Video Copilot as basically a good workflow for free on the Video Copilot website. It makes everything easier. Not even a promo, but it's actually genuinely a great plugin. But the reason why I'm using this, so we can speed things up and make stuff easier. But if you do, you can go to the effect options. You can also go to the effects and presets. Might take a little bit to load, and you can just use the search tab over here to sort somewhat basically essentially, yeah, see all the options. You can search up as well, and you drag it on as well onto the effect. Anyways, I'm going to go into the output cycle to ramp gray. So we get this gradient here. I'm going to round this like 90-degree angle. Just go do like a black, and that looks nice. But essentially, I wanted to get another white, and this just kicks out a lot of the issues that we may have had. So I might um, do a little bit of fine tuning with the matte so we can get it softer, not too overpowered, but this is okay. Now what I'm going to do is highlight both these, go to layer, pre-compose, search up matte. For me, I'm going to do 2 because I've done this effect a lot of times. I might just put this on half resolution to make my life easier. And what I'm going to do is go into here. The reason why I'm highlighting this for organization as well, but also for our new solid, because as you can see, not everything completely blacked out. So I'm going to put this on top of all the layers. Turn this off. Nice. Now you may notice this when we're doing this, we're going to go to mask path. So we're going to animate this path here. So first I'm going to V and just going to pretty good. But now I don't want the branches, so you're gonna lose. I'm gonna chill out and just, you know, place it a little lower. And that is gonna work out. And I'm also gonna do another mask. So I'm gonna go to the pen tool here. You can press G on the keyboard, but I don't like doing that, but it's your choice. So I'm gonna go back to the mask here, go to mask, path, V, go on to this. And like I did before, we're just gonna animate, and it looks a little crazy here, so I need to chill out a little bit. And you don't have to go frame by frame. I don't recommend going frame by frame when it comes to rotoscoping these out. But like I said, still should go a couple frames like I'm doing. Or you can do shift page up 10. That's how you can one the way you can do it. Or you can copy a null object and just do that, but I prefer to do this because I get more control. I'm gonna add one pretty big mask here. I'm gonna do again. Mask path, and like we did before, we're gonna animate it, and this is the most boring part, trust me. This is a very boring part. Everything else will be way cooler than this, so we're just gonna make sure everything's nice. It's done. So the mat is now done. So now we can just go back onto the tutorial comp. What I named it here. And now we can add our mountain. So first I'm gonna add this is actually K2. I just cut this out into Photoshop. Pretty nice. And I want to get rid of this half edge, so I'm going to go to pen tool. It's better to do this in Photoshop, but I was a bit lazy. Go to subtract F again, feather this a little bit, and what I might do is expand the mask so it doesn't get that weird effect of it just like coming up here and repeating edges, and it's kind of annoying. So yeah, I think that's okay. Then I'm going to under, and I'm going to do Illumamat. Then we're going to parenthesis track it here. So I know this is a lot, I'm going a bit fast, but like I said, this can get pretty complicated. So because of that mat, like you see these tree branches, now obviously it doesn't look great right now, but we're going to fine tune it. But you can see like, this is great because look, it's hiding behind these branches. So this is a really cool technique. Now right now it looks very bad, I'm not gonna lie. And it's now tracked nicely because the knob just added, but this will depend on your seam. I probably should have done 3D camera training, but whatever. So I'm gonna fine tune this mat. The mat is kind of terrible. So I'm gonna do refine soft mat. And it doesn't work. Now there's one little trick I found out on my own, and this is an incredible trick I learned. Was going to set mat, and we're going to put this on top of the refine mat, and I'm going to go to the mat 2, then I'm going to put onto the luminance, and now it should function like that's supposed to, and this is great. So now, and we can use shift edging. Might put some full resolution because now we need to see the detail, and that looks pretty good, but still think that smoothness you can play with, and the contrast and shift edge is pretty important as well. But yeah, some more motion blur, and you can do smoother, and you can reduce some chatter if that's the issue. Might increase the radius a little bit. Gotten rid of a lot of the branches. Might low down the feathering, and that looks pretty good. Well, from this to this, so we got rid of a lot of it, or you can just add a matte ochre. This is really up to you. Let's see what looks good. So the refine matte, matte choker. I might just stick to the refine matte. A matte choker looks bad on this one, so I might stick with the Marifine trigger. On the matte trigger. Okay, so now we have done the matte. So now we have to color correct this mountain. So I'm going to go into the mountain. I'm going to do curves adjustment. And let's look, and there's a lot. We're going to blow this out. Just going to push up the shadows and just push that up. Still doesn't look great because we need to lower down the blues and add a little warm tones, which is the reds, and this is looking nicer. The green, boost a little bit of greens. Maybe we can put the reds a little bit, just not overkill it. But that looks way better. Already we're getting the warmness, it's not too dark. But now we have to play, I might just play with a little levels adjustment here. Put this on half resolution here. And what I'm going to do is go to the RGB. Just push that up, and that looks pretty good. Now, we've now blended this way better. So I'm going to add a camera lens blur. So using the camera lens blur, I'm just going to go into full so I can just get a good idea. And that looks pretty good. A 5 blur doesn't look too bad. I might just boost this to maybe 6.5. Maybe just 5. Try that. I think 5's perfect actually. So this is pretty good. So we have a pretty good. We have curves adjustment, and I might add one last effect. I might add a little tint just to desaturate everything. So we're going to lower the amount of tint just to desaturate a little bit. And this looks fantastic. This is what we want. I mean, it looks great. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is add this let's see. Can add this mountain range because this is a pretty lonely mountain and that isn't very realistic. So I might just cut this out. Extract. Other the mask. And I'm going to put this on top. Then we're going to play with the mountain range and we're going to scale this down. It's very big. And what I'm going to do is go back into I'm going to go into the matte and I'm just going to do this huge cutoff. So like I said again, you can do this in Photoshop, but really up to you. And I might go into the mask and we might just push this up. And my night filter. Turn that guy off. Shut mate. But anyways, hold up. I'm gonna go back and go back to the matte 2, Luma matte. And I might put this under behind the mountain range so. And like I said again, we're gonna scale this down so it's like sort of in the distance. So yeah, it looks pretty good actually. Now I'm going to do similar techniques that we did before. So I'm going to do curves, boost up the blow it all out. I'm going to go into the red, add some warm tones, green, kind of a little bit of some greens to neutralize everything, and lower down the blues and do a levels adjustment like we did before. Go to the input Y and just make it a little look more hazy. I'm gonna go to the pick whip and just put the null. And yeah, that looks pretty good. And like I did before, I might go back into here and you can play around with the camera lens blur. Add that on and yeah, that looks pretty good. And that looks pretty good. And a couple things I want to add is smoke layers. what I might do is go to unmults. Can use Regent's University mode, but I'm just gonna use the alpha line this one there. This looks pretty well, but I might just change to luminance. And this looks pretty good, so I might just add this into the use the Luma matte function. Again, make sure all of these layers on Luma. So this is alpha, this is Luma. Then you do invert, but that's not gonna work here. It's very dependent on your scene. So what we can do is add scale and just add some scale into this, and this is gonna be like a haze. So just some haze covers everything. You don't have to do this actually. This is just what I like doing, and you can argue that it doesn't look very good. I like it, so I think that looks pretty good. And yeah, that is most of the tutorial done really. But now we're gonna add our sky replacement. This is one of the last things we have to add. So I'm gonna go into the guy which I got here, Google, and it looks pretty crap, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, but with some fine tuning, you can make it look good. Luma, and I'm gonna put this under everything. And yeah, you can see that it's not great right now, but I will turn off all the other layers to make everything less complicated. So we're gonna do some blending techniques. First, I'm gonna just go into T and just gonna lower this guy down. I'm gonna make sure to pick up this tracking data, and that looks alright, but add some curves. Blow this out. Maybe desaturate this a little bit. There's the blues and all blues. But the main effect is the tint. So we're going to desaturate this heavily. And I'm going to go into the... and that looks pretty good. Tint really does make this look way bad. But also I might add a little bit of the Gaussian blur. Try to pronounce it. And I might just figure everything out. Can use camera lens blur, fastbox blur, but this works pretty well. Could turn on everything else, and yeah, that looks great, fantastic. And once, because we have a very big resolution sky, this you won't have troubles with it clipping out. And if you do, you have to scale it up. But the problem with having low resolution assets is that you lose a lot of detail. And it looks very blurry. It doesn't look very real. And you want to have that organic feel. So that is the most important thing. Now the last thing to do is do a color correction. So we're going to add the adjustment layer using using Control Alt Y. We can do a new, or like do like a layer, new adjustment layer like that. But whatever. I'm going to rename this to color grade by right clicking, and I'm going to use curves. So you can see everything's a bit blown out. So I just dim everything down a little bit, shadows, and it just looks incredibly cinematic like that. It's ready, it looks way better. Go to the reds, and we had some warm, like it's a warm day, but green, and maybe a little blues. I don't know. Your choice. Already looks way better. Maybe a little tint. Desaturate stuff. Looks a bit too orangey. You can use the hue and saturation effect, but this is just a very quick way. And it's just, looks pretty good. Maybe I could add a little more. Should I add more blur? Nah, I think that's fine. I think everything looks cool. And I might add a CC vignette effect. Just add a little vignette. You can use pin highlights, but I don't like using this effect at all. Just maybe turn the angle a little bit. Maybe you can play it a little bit. I don't want to do too much of the vignette. But if there's stupid text on there, then it's a little way better. But that's fine. Who cares? And yeah, you're pretty much done. Maybe you can add a little bit of hue and saturation. Or maybe what I could do is add an exposure effect and play with the exposure a little bit, and maybe the gamma correction. brighten stuff up a little bit. Make stuff just less bright. Look at the color grade. It's a little more cinematic. I might turn down the vignettes a bit powerful. And yeah, this looks great. So I think we're done with the tutorial, and maybe you can go back onto the sky and add a little more blur. Don't want to blur it too much. And oops, it's preview. And maybe I might go back to the mountains, and maybe you can also add a tint to this as well. So this is the mountain range one. Like I said, desaturating this. Make it look way better. The biggest deal breaker will also be this mountain in the foreground here. Add a little tint. Oh, I actually already added the tint. Never mind. Why actually add the tint a little, just a little bit. I might go onto the sky image. I think this tint is way too extreme. Might just go into the sky image and I might just make this even more like even that. Or you don't even need to add a sky replacement, but I like the sky replacement honestly. So now this looks very cinematic. I got the RGB. Boost that. Maybe make this a little more blurred out. Go into the color grade and might play the RGB. This is, oh, that's strange, isn't it? So I might just go back and resize. And I think that's done. I think we're done here. So yeah, this is pretty much what we got here. And I think I did this a bit faster because gone pretty good at the map painting technique, and I think I could show some stuff. But maybe we can do a little fine tuning on these mountains here. But if you don't color correct or you don't add a blur, it could have looked really bad. Like if I didn't add this camera lens blur. Oh, that's this one. Well, if I don't add any blur to any of these, so let's go into camera lens blur. Everything will look too sharp, and because it looks too sharp, and a resolution of this is very like a lot, it'll look very weird and very digital. But if you add that blur, add the blur to this guy, it looks really good. Maybe one last thing you can add is motion blur, so I might just turn on the motion blur switch and add for these both mountains, and that is what could, because we're doing quite a fast pan here, this is pretty good. And also, if you do have a problem with the motion blur, you can go to advanced on the composition settings, apply the shutter angle, mostly the shutter angle, and the lower, more, less. But anyways, that's the end of the tutorial. And this is my second tutorial on the action effects series. Hope you guys enjoy this. Might be a little long, I'm not sure how long this is, but yeah, this is a pretty good tutorial. I wanted to do this for a long time. So anyways, see ya.